Hello, everyone. I think my it's frozen. Baru je cakap kena jinx. So I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Or I'm just talking to myself here. Let me just check.
Okay, we face some network issue just now.
Baru cakap, aduh.
Baru cakap, right. But hopefully it's fine now.
Yep, I can hear you. Well, decent.
Right, man. How's things?
Okay. Been quite a bit busy. So it's so work was also a nice flow lah for once. So I'm quite happy and ready, and still waiting for more Europe results tonight. I think Manchester United especially, and Spurs, also played, and Chelsea as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I think when you look at Chelsea, the question, we saw so much rotation last weekend, so we want to see what happens tonight, and was it justified? Was it worth it?
I think plenty of heavy rotation happened last weekend. In the likes of Villa, the likes of Arsenal, who looks like prioritizing the Champions League matches this midweek. I think we will definitely take a look on the lineup, and then maybe we can just predict what kind of lineup that this team will have this weekend, because it will sandwich between the UCL matches, which is important, especially for both Arsenal and Villa. I think Arsenal did manage to have a comfortable win, 3-0 win at home against Real Madrid, but going to Bernabeu, they're definitely still up to it, and it's still not over yet. And at the same time, Villa down 1-3 to PSG, and they need a 2-0 win at least at Villa Park. So interesting match will come.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, and so we saw that Arsenal also rotated during the weekend, and it turned out well for them for the Champions League. But Aston Villa did a bit of the same thing, but with not quite the results they hoped for. But we can look at that in detail later.
All right. I think this is the business end of the season, starting this game week 32, because as we shared, double game week 32 is this week, for which Newcastle and Palace will double, and then game week 33, like 4 teams will double. Palace and the likes of Arsenal, Villa, and also Palace, Arsenal, Villa, and so Man City, and then we face blank game week in 34. This is something important for the next few weeks for us to maneuver, because it's left like 7-8 matches of the season. Yeah, pretty much this is it, man.
This is it. Yeah. So because this week, these last few weeks, there's a lot of things going on. We've seen the craziness of rotation, and you may have been affected by it. The fact that there's the double games and the blank games. So a lot of possible swings if you haven't prepared, and if you haven't got to this point with your team ready, and you're still struggling and trying to find out which direction. Even if you haven't used your chips, we still have a few chips to go, and these chips could make or break your season at this point in time. So not much time left. So so make sure you plan the rest and be ready.
Yep, I'm pumped up. Yeah, despite my rank in the millions, but there are plenty of things still to play. So I must keep up my moral highs just to make sure that there's plenty of matches coming up, which is interesting, and we shall see where I end up. But you're at a better rank right now, 56k. Let's take a look at your team, man. You end up, finally activated your wildcard in game week 31 and you scored 71 points, really nice. The average point last week was 34, and I think one particular player did well for your team to score these big points. Man, can you just talk through your team?
So okay, so I got 71 points, and so I'm very happy. I always have who isn't when you play a wild card and have a good points, you know. So I'm definitely happy. So I think it's a rare thing this season, because I think this season I both my wild cards have ended up with me with good green arrows. Basically following a bit of the template of most of what people who wildcarded in game week 30 did. You know, the topping up on Newcastle players because of the upcoming double, Crystal Palace players as well. So in this case, what we chose, I had the two Newcastle in defense, which is Pope and Livramento. So unfortunately, this, which is, you know, I'm happy with the returns, but it does lock me out of that Jacob Murphy thing. I believe you had him. So, but any credit, but I don't mind. So Guardiola 9. And Munoz also scored a goal despite not keeping a clean sheet. So that back line, what a great start for me, you know, returns for my entire back line. Yeah, so on the midfield side, so I've got Eze, you know, also a choice between Eze and Sa, but it wasn't really a choice for me because I was always on Eze purely because of the additional routes to points, which is the set pieces, you know, it's things that he does. It was a bit like making that decision for Cunha previously. So similarly, because Eze does more. So I had Rashford as well. So a victim of the rotation thing that went on. So Rashford was benched, but we saw him play in the Champions League. He led the line, and Watkins didn't play, which was quite incredible to see. But I don't know what we'll talk about whether or not that still be the case for this weekend. I picked Johnson. So back when I wasn't wildcarding my team, if you remember, my transfer was always going to be for Kluivert to Johnson. So I was always dead set to have Johnson in my team. So when we look at that wildcard, okay, should I still do it? You know, without. But then it's just with Southampton, I felt like we're going for the kill, and where can I fit? Solanke, I don't think with the striker, it was just too tight, and I always wanted Cunha back as well. So I ruled Solanke out, and then who's left? Then it had to be Johnson. Son, of course, definitely not. So, and Johnson, just that knack of arriving at the blocks at the right time, and you know, all these poor defenses. So happy there. So although I don't have Jacob Murphy, I did one better with Johnson with 2 goals plus an assist. Of course, now I don't have Jacob Murphy for the for the double game, so that's the sacrifice there. So we'll see how that goes. Captaincy Salah unfortunately blank, but it was one of those weeks where all the popular captaincy options blank. Only those who had the balls to go for someone like Murphy or even any goal scorer would have done well, but definitely like Eze for example. But who was very few of us were going there. So Salah blank, Isak blanked as well. Saka, to be fair, this was a bit of a risk. So I wasn't too upset when I saw him not starting. I did hope that he would come on and do something as well. But that's a risk I absorbed. Disappointed for Marmoush, to be fair, but credit to United for slowing it down. But I saw some of the game and it was so boring. So I don't know, for a derby, it's like, oh no, is this just one game where both teams are, because even City's defense isn't very solid in the best of times. So but then they fight the you just couldn't see it. I think it was the late game, but I was still surprised that City didn't score. I thought United would do well, but then when I look back now at the record, the last few games, United's defense has been pretty decent. So that's it. So on my bench, Henderson. So I had to keep my options open in terms of the extra double gamer in case I wanted to bench boost for game week 32. So just have him. Then Cunha, who I always wanted, who I never played. Okay, so Digne. Okay, so this is part I totally forgot. I didn't feel Livramento. I feel Digne. So
Oh,
I got really lucky there that Digne didn't come on. You saw Digne and Rashford got benched. Rashford came on, Digne didn't. So it was totally luck. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that because I wasn't sure about Newcastle, and because I already had Pope, so I wasn't sure whether I want to double up on the defense. Even though it was Leicester, but I wasn't that confident. Uh, and finally, Timber. Okay, so Timber, I was convinced by a friend of mine to have at least one more Arsenal player, because without it, because in my first few wildcard drafts, I only had Saka because I was worried about the CL. But then, um, what my friend's reasoning made sense that, okay, fine, you don't want them now, but you don't know what if they get knocked out of the Champions League. Surely you will want someone, and you might as well have him now rather than later. You'll find it hard to get him later. And so I decided, yeah, I would go for Justin Timber. But yes, he is where he is on the bench. I stuck him right at the back. If you remember, there was also a bit of injury doubt as well, whether he would play. Yeah. So, but it turns out he was okay. He was on the bench, and they were more or less saving him for the Champions League. So all in all, no bench pain, thankfully for once, which always happy when that happens. Especially the decision between Pope and Henderson. I'm glad that came off. It came off to be the right decision. Of course, against Leicester, had to wait for a bit. So yeah, I'm really happy. Bounced back back into the top 100K by quite a bit, almost half in terms of rank. So and I did
40,000 plus, right? 40,000 K
yeah,
plus.
and about 49. So Hafiz, just now you mentioned that the average of this week is only 35.
Sorry?
The
Yeah, the
average.
average point. The average point, yes.
That's insane. I didn't know that. What I didn't think it was that low.
34 points average. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just happy with my and if you remember last week, I said I wasn't quite feeling it. It was because of the such a long break. Well, a good score can always help you feel it. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, great choice, especially on Johnson, because you keep your stand in terms of getting the Spurs player, and thankfully you didn't get the likes of Son or Solanke because both blank, and Johnson is the only player who scored big points for Spurs. Okay,
Yep.
and other than that,
A bit annoyed because if you remember, Spurs had a penalty, and I think Johnson was, do you want to let me take it so I can get a hat trick? But in the end, Tels wanted to. Apparently, Tels hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League yet. Apparently, so Tels scored it.
on the pitch at that point. Okay.
Yeah. So that was it. So I was a bit but he still got the assist. So okay, it's all right.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Jangan greedy.
And yeah. At the same time, I think at least I'm happy that you pull your trigger in terms of activity your wildcard in game week 31, because now pretty much you are set up in terms of for the next few weeks, because I can see that you have triple Palace asset and also triple Newcastle asset. I can also mention that you got the right players, at least from last weekend result. Livramento over Burn, like myself, who have 6 points only. So you have that extra points for Livramento. And then what else? You have Eze over the likes of another popular asset, Sa, who continue to blank from game week 30. And you got the 2 assists when I saw that match. Actually, I saw that match. So, again, Eze got assists. Then I feel like, yeah, the extra layout in terms of 1 million plus over Asa may be worth it. But would I do sideways move this week? We shall see. Okay, because now pressures in terms of transfer, because there's plenty of, especially on 33, you will need to maneuver how you're going to make your transfer, because there pretty much a lot of rotation can happen after that midweek matches. CL, but we shall see. Yeah, I'm happy for you, Saka. Pretty much, if like say I actually going to wildcard again. If I do that again, I definitely have Saka on my team, regardless how his fitness, because you are preparing for game week 33, where those are the entire matches that you you will hopeful that Saka will play those two matches against Ipswich and Palace. But it is yellow flag right now, but we just won't know until the Champions League match or even the this weekend match against Brentford. We shall see.
Can I
All right.
just take a minute? Can I just take a minute um to mourn the loss of two of my players who have been there since game week 1, which is
Oh,
Gabriel
okay, fair.
and Robinson. So they've been around for all from game week 1. Now the only person who I still have from game week 1 is Salah.
Yes. Salah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
And,
finally, great
all right,
game
great.
week 21.
For myself,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't have any more players from game week 1. Only Gabriel, but sooner or rather than
Yeah,
later, he will move out because will
as
be out
well.
for the rest of the season. So, but I since you mentioned, but I still recall last year. I don't know about your team, but last year, Gabriel was my only player who
All season.
all season.
Wow, we.
Last year was Gabriel, but this year it might not meant to be because he will be out for this, and I will take a move in game 83 for that player. All right, let's move to my team
Your team.
quickly, where I scored 60 points, but I still got the green arrow and is a healthy one because I've been stuck in within that 1.92 million range, but now I jumped to 1.5,
Nice.
1.6 million after that average point 34. I got that 30 point extra, maybe that made my jump. And you can see there, the hero is definitely Jacob Murphy.
Oh,
But I
yes.
think other than that, I might not have Eze, but I have Mateta, so 8 points. You didn't have him, so Munoz I have 8 points. So maybe that balance out. Okay, Guardiol I have 9 points, but other than that, the rest blank, and especially like you mentioned, me, the big guns, especially where the normal people will captain. If I read it out in terms of stat last week, around 5 million managers captain Salah, and maybe around slightly lower than 2 million captain Isak, but both blank. So whoever captain Isak last weekend didn't get the advantage or get gain, and is back to square one, of which later we touch on game 32. Most probably people will go with one player and might not go for Mo Salah anymore because he only play one game. But maybe they some player who still have faith or loyal to Salah as a captaincy pick for this week. Other than that, I think I am more frustrating in terms of Foden because last weekend he did not play at all, 0 points. And then against Manchester United, he subbed out before that 60th minute. And 1 pointer, same as Saka, who actually came on from the bench, right? So there's not much that I can say in terms of looks like Foden could be a headache, but coming to game week 33, that's the focus. But I think he's still there. Semenyo, who scored an assist and got that 6 point because he got one bonus point. So could he rival Foden for this game week 32 place? Because both will play at home. But we shall see how it is. Other than that, yeah, Arela Gabriel comes out on my bench. I never think of playing those players, but I think pretty much template and 60 points, I will take it. And most likely people are going to jump on Jacob Murphy. You still have slot for Newcastle player this week. But other than that, I think both of us have locked with those double Palace and Newcastle.
Yeah. Now you have, because you have, I think you rolled, right? So you've got
Yeah.
extra transfer at the moment. So which
Yeah.
will help. I think, yeah, it's good. I think it was a good decision to roll, and now you get to decide based on what happens, what's been happening in the Champions League. Yeah. So you get to see, because right now you don't have Aston Villa players. Okay, so you had Konsa.
Only Konza on my bench.
Yeah, and you benched him anyway. But I don't think people expected him to be benched, to be honest. So well done on that. Good call. But now you have extra time to see and make the better decision as to how we think
I think
Villa are gonna line up this weekend.
Yeah, more information is better to have now, and we shall do the decision on the game week 3 especially. Take a quick look on Afosz team because he's planned to join our stream, but he might not able to. But we just won't know. He might join later. We shall see. His team, he scored 53 points. He also wildcard like you made, slightly lower than the rest of us, but pretty much
still a green arrow.
Red arrow, but he's still on the 49k range.
Hey, green. It's a green. It's a green.
Sorry. Actually, it's a red arrow, but maybe I actually put a wrong old rank.
No, it's green, isn't it? Oh, was it?
Hang
on.
I think my visual was wrong, but he's on red arrow actually.
Let me check. I thought it was green. It's green, lah.
Oh, he's green. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's on green arrow last week. Despite on that, and he's only 4 points away from you, right, mate? Between you.
Yeah, I like to hang out close by and then I drop off again. I don't know. So yeah, but yeah.
But that Johnson points matters. That's all I can say to close the gap. And we can see his team. I think did he make a transfer last weekend? Oh no, he's actually wildcard. So what happened is he's already decided to bring the double Arsenal players. Instead of Gabriel, he bring in Saliba, which is what I will do if, let's say, I wildcard last week. So Raya and Saliba in, and he decided to bench Guardiola. I think that's the difference. Okay, and then Munoz and Burn, Salah, he has like others. Saka and Jacob Murphy, pretty much template. He has Savinho as a Man City asset, Mamouche and Guardiola, Isak triple up in terms of Newcastle and Mateta. He has 2 Villa players ready for game week 33 in the form of double defense, Martinez and Konza. And that is something that people are looking at. Maybe not for me, but he's definitely have keeper for the double game week, upcoming double game week 33. What do you think about his team, man?
I like the Aston Villa of Martinez and Konsa because I guess he went for the most safe play in terms of which strike. Because Martinez, of course, going to. There's no way he's going to get rotated. Konsa, to be fair, all of us were blindsided by that. So, Savinho, I'm not sure whether he did feel Savinho or he didn't, but Savinho not seeing play at all was a very surprise. I totally did not expect Pep to not even bring him in from the bench. So I don't know what was the thinking there, but I do expect him to play this weekend. So he had Burn, Murphy, Isak. So no real captain, Sean. So he has Saka just like me, but he has Sar over Eze. And that's about it. Mamouche blanking Mateta. So Mateta is because I don't have Mateta, so it'll be interesting to see what happens whether he tears me a new one. So I think both of you have Mateta, I don't. So that's where our teams differ.
Yeah. You can't have everyone, but my team also really more mirror into Afosz team, but there's some differences in terms of the player. Okay, we touched already how we performed last week. Maybe we just take a look in terms of the horizon, the fixture ticker that is coming right now.
That's the rest of the season.
Game week 32, we already know that Crystal Palace and Newcastle will double. That's where they are up there in terms of Crystal Palace, despite Man City and Newcastle, Palace playing Man City and Newcastle, both are so-called tough on paper, but both and matches also away. But for Newcastle, they play at home, both Manchester United and Crystal Palace. So that is for game week 32. The rest single game week. For game week 33, as we also know, 4 teams will double. We will have Palace play back-to-back double. So I think that's really important if you want to get the Palace asset right. So some people mentioned that if you already pick your 3 Palace assets, so be it, and just you continue. But I feel this is the entry point. If you think you want to tweak your Palace asset and you have that transfer need, maybe you could have that opportunity. But we'll take a look on the numbers later. But Palace will play Bournemouth and Arsenal. Okay. Yeah, Arsenal, we can see tough fixture there. Man City will play Everton and Villa. For Villa, Newcastle, and Man City, both also tough. But Arsenal, treble matchup against Ipswich, we can say, and Palace at home. Then on game week 34, vice versa in terms of because whoever double in 33 will blank in 34. So that's the tricky part. And we can see there 4 teams will blank in 34, which is Palace, Man City, Villa, and Arsenal, and we will only have matches played in game week 34. The rest still uncertain, but we can say that the one thing that we should monitor is after that game, because game week 34 is where the FA Cup semi-final match will happen, and then we will know team that will play in the FA Cup final, which will happen in game week 37. And the prediction is we will have some double in game week 36, but we do not know which team yet. So I think that's the horizon for the rest of the season. And yes, how we should maneuver it in terms of chips.
Yeah, so the main thing with game week 37 is the fact that we're not sure as to, even you can correctly predict which teams are going to go through, which even then, let's face it, it's not so easy. But where would the fixtures then move? Would they move to 36, or they could potentially stay in 37 but move midweek? So sometimes we don't quite understand the rationale of how the league does it. But bear in mind that they may want, because Spurs, if Spurs play and win, then they will not be able to play in the Europa. That may also have an impact as to where their matchups end up. So it's definitely something to take into account, because Spurs play Manchester City that in game week 37. No, that's not right. Spurs play Villa in game week 37 as well. So Villa, who are still also involved in the Champions League. So arguably, of course, we want everyone to play in game week 36. Gives us more, and but yeah, because there is a possibility that not all matches may move to 36. Some may stay in 37, just move to midweek. Yeah, depending on whether or not they still have Europe commitments. Nevertheless, that's something that you just need to prepare with. So now most of us have already wildcarded. If you haven't wildcarded yet, this is probably the last chance for you to wildcard if you have already. But I know that some are looking at wildcarding in 35 or even 34. Yeah, so either they dead end in 34 and then wildcard, or they wildcard in 34 and prep the team to adjust based on the upcoming fixtures, whether it's benching the players who will play in 35. So there's still options there. But let's face it, there's only seven game weeks left. Not a lot. And another chip I want to point out, if you haven't already used the AM chip, you're running out of time. So yeah. But this week, if you look at it, Crystal Palace played 2 teams that are both higher than 5 places above, which is Manchester City and Newcastle. So do you wanna go for that? That is definitely tempting if you
I think so. If you have that chip, still have that chip, I think so.
Yeah, let's face it, Crystal Palace are punching above the weight. They as something like last season when towards the end of the season suddenly they level up, go up a gear. So definitely there's potential there. If you already have your chip activated, that this week it's almost certainly Crystal Palace is your game, your way for it.
Yeah. I think let's just talk a bit in terms of that chip strategy, man. As people like us who already wildcarded, and
Yeah.
we still have the triple captaincy,
Yeah.
the bench
Which
boost,
free hit.
and also the free hit. I
Yeah.
think that's what left for us. So what people will do, most likely we also will do, is the triple captaincy in game week 32. That what people are looking at, and then bench boot in 33. Or you could switch because maybe you have opportunity. I think you have option that maybe you could actually bench boost, right, and then triple captaincy in 33, right, based on your squad. Later we take a look. You
Yeah.
have that option if you want to do that. But most likely we will play free hit in game week 34 because your team might not prepare for that, for teams who will blank that game week. Then after that, you will use your transfer depending on what will coming up in 35, 36, 37, and so on. And you just manage your team. I think that's I think a crucial part when you want to roll your transfer and just manage your team. In terms of AM chip, like you mentioned, I think like FPL Harry and I forgot which other content creator who still have the AM chip. They already have activated last weekend and they want to enjoy these 2 weeks. If you still don't activate it, I don't think it is too late and you can get activate this week. And they played the 32 and 33 double, especially for the Palace assets. Man City and Newcastle, Palace at 11 place right now. So Man City and Newcastle are pretty much above in terms of 5 places from Palace. Bournemouth might
Palace.
not because Bournemouth at 10 place right now, but Arsenal still. So you still have that opportunity. You just know Glasner. He has proved that he can get that your 19, 20 points. I think that is the most important thing. So then if you see that 30, if you already activated 31, fine, you already use that. But 34, if you're blank, you can just simply switch to other manager like Newcastle playing switch and get that win and big points probably, or you can go another manager who has table bonus point, right? In the form of, I don't know, if you trust any West Ham team or those kind of things.
Ipswich.
No, it's
But yeah, I mean the AM chip and those who activate. Let's say if you with 32 and 33 in mind, because even 33 Crystal Palace, it could potentially upset Arsenal. So and they have an extra game as well. Bournemouth and Crystal Palace are now next to each other on the table, I think. Yeah, but Arsenal, that's another possibility there, and Arsenal will have had back-to-back matches. They with the Champions League done in game week 32. Then it'll be interesting to see how they play. But to be fair, the Crystal Palace match with Arsenal, before that Arsenal play Ipswich, so it's a chance for Arsenal to chill out a bit and potentially rest some players before Palace.
Since we are on that topic, because people likely will triple captain this weekend, and most likely the player will be Isak. Like if let's say Isak is not fit or we have doubt in terms of fitness, and we want to have other week to triple captain, probably we can do that. But we want to move away from that BB first because as long if let's say we still hold that BB chip and then your players getting injured and so on, you don't want that possibility. So you want to get rid of that chip. But triple can play in other ways and possibly in 36 if there's double, but the team we just won't know what will happen.
Yeah, it's hard to predict, but it's exciting times.
Do you think if let's say Isak not fit, you will think about captaining other players in this week, or you think that maybe we should hold that chip and play on other weeks?
If Isak is not fit, so that's the thing. When Isak's not fit, the entire Newcastle attack becomes a question. Is there a point captaining Murphy, for example, if there's no Isak? So it's just not obviously Isak didn't assist any of Murphy's goals the other day, but then of course the presence of Isak is helps as well. So when you look at the other options, double gamer is Eze and Mateta. And frankly speaking, Mateta is not that far away from Isak. In fact, some would argue he might be a better option than Isak. But of course, the thing with Isak is that he plays both matches at home. I think that if Isak is suddenly not fit, I think Mateta is an automatic option for you to captain if you have him. I don't. So yeah, I think Mateta is decent because City's defense is all over the place.
Okay.
Fine, the United game, that was the dull as hell, but before that, it hasn't been shown to be stable at all. But the Newcastle match, that would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
So
I think I like the idea. Yeah.
The problem with Crystal Palace is that the defense are ravaged a bit, so they've lost Guehi as well.
And for this week, there will be 2 players missing because red carded.
Exactly.
In the form of Mark Guile and also Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, so that will play into Crystal Palace, and can they attack as well when they have to pay a bit more attention to the defense? So that's something you need to figure out.
All right. Since we talk about double game 52, where Newcastle and Palace asset will play twice, why not we take a look at those assets that people should bring in if let's say you have not fulfilled that 3 quota, right? These best Newcastle and Palace players for double game 32. These are the people are looking at Newcastle assets, the likes of Isak, Jacob Murphy, who has performed last weekend. Trippier is another one that people are looking at. Livramento and Danburn in defense. Maybe Pope also could come into that conversation. But these are the popular assets. And also on the Palace players like for Munoz, Eze, Sa, Mateta, Henderson, someone that you have. I'm not too sure other than those players people will look at. I think these are the common Palace assets that people will tend to pick, especially the midfield. They have like cheap enabler if you're looking at those assets. So let's take a look at some numbers that I cited from FPL side. In terms of Newcastle top scoring players so far. Without a doubt, Isak is the one because in terms of goal and assist combination, he has 25 returns. And then points is 179 points. He is the most scored player in terms of Newcastle, and he has 6.6 points per start. The second, I'm surprised also, is Jacob Murphy with 17 goal involvement, clean sheet potential there, and 122 points there, 4.9 per start. Gordon, I think another popular asset, but he's on injury right now, but I'm not sure whether he can return. 12 goal involvement with 9 clean sheets and 113 points, but at a higher price, 7 million if I'm right. Trippier has this season has not been great. He's not injury prone and only 4 clean sheets, 42 points. But Bruno Guimaraes could be a differential. 9 returns, 108 points. Not that far difference from Murphy, but Murphy still excel in terms of points per start. That is the top scoring players. But in terms of goal threat, I think there is no denial in terms of Isak's potential of picking as the best captaincy option because 75 shots, 62 shots in the box and 28 chance. Then second, I think it's Gordon, 54 shots. Jacob Murphy, 37. But Barnes, Joelinton, I don't think people were looking at that. I just want to point out Burn here because he has some shots there, 50, and shots in the box, same and big chance 3. No Livramento in here. But if let's say you look at in terms of another table, later I will show integrity, Livramento name will be there. Mate, what do you think in terms of these stats?
Yeah, it's fairly accurate. I guess the problem is that Gordon is currently not available, so we're still looking at team news. But to be fair, Newcastle have done well without him. so it's not exactly need to rush him back. But to be fair, the next week is against City, so we'll see how that goes. And the thing is, some people when they wildcarded, they did bring him in, thinking that his injury previously was minor, so it's a bit more serious. Trippier seems to be now a regular, and of course he's still taking set pieces to less effect. I'll be honest, Hafiz. I was for the wild card, I was actually considering Gumares over Murphy. In the end, I didn't go for both because I feel that Gumares does have a tendency to step up in terms of the attacking points when they need to. And if Isak were to suddenly not be available, I do feel Gumares is going to be the one to step up. But those of us who've already wildcarded in 31 and 32, probably we've already maxed out on our Newcastle assets anyway. So that's it. In terms of Burn, to be fair, I never really considered Burn. And in fact, I preferred Shar over Burn in that sense. Yeah. But Livramento was a money thing lah.
Yeah. I think I might make a wrong choice into picking because Burn 4.5, Livramento 4.5, Burn 4.4, difference 0.1 only. And I did spoke to some of my cousin who are Newcastle hardcore fan, and when I asked them during the second Raya, when I decided to wildcard, and I said, okay, if I want to pick Newcastle defense, who would you go? He straight away say Livramento. But I'm so worried in terms of could there be any rotation? And my cousin says Livramento will always play. But I didn't take that advice. And you see, if I say the Livramento and Burn on the last weekend, 5 points different because Livramento, let's go to the next thing. Newcastle most creative players. You can see there Livramento is in there in terms of chances created and big chance created, even though on the last line in terms of this table. Gumares also took a corners and free kick, chances created 40. You did mention that. Murphy, same there, but Gordon is the goal mine in terms of corner and free kick, 63 and chances 49. So there's if let's say Gordon are fit to play and you want to go differential, people won't look at Gordon, but he's slightly expensive and the rest this player, I mean.
Yeah, it really is because when he's unavailable. And to be fair, with Gordon not around, I was a bit worried about the rest of the production. But it turns out Newcastle, they're motivated when you look at their play because they rush trying to get that Champions League spot. They're in a great position to do it, and you can see all the players playing their hearts out, trying to get Newcastle over the line. And we also know that now. I just want to bring it up that. UK has now England have now been given a 5th Champions League spot because of the performances. So their chances are better than ever, but they need to get this double game and make over the points to really make the position much stronger.
Yeah. Fighting on 5th place, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City, Villa, and outside chance of Fulham if it can get some wins. Who knows? It's really tight in terms of.
Well, Fulham did whack Liverpool last weekend, so yeah, you can argue that they are trying to see whether or not they can squeeze in as well.
All right. Just to conclude, in terms of Newcastle assets, 3 players that people should get in. If they say you still have not him, I will say, I think maybe Murphy in terms of value, but on the defense, I will go for Livramento. How about you?
In terms of the defense?
The defense, I will go Livramento.
Yeah, I mean it's Livramento. I guess there's a question of if you do have a slot for your keeper, would you go for Pope? But I think Livramento is still more value at this point.
Right. I think I have question from Rakan FPL here. I almost beat it. Sideways Burn to Livramento. Would I do it? I'm not too sure. There's the opportunity.
For me, it boils down to: do you have any issues with your team elsewhere? Is there other players that you're yearning to want? Because if you don't, I don't think it's a bad idea actually. Yeah, to go for it. Yeah, but I think because at the end of the day, Burn's not the most creative player at all. He doesn't appear, and I feel that creativity is really needed and is quite valued at the point in time.
Okay,
So
I agree. I think I must agree now. If I have the chance, I will change to Livramento, but I'm not too sure if I want to do that sideways. All right, let's go to the Palace asset, which is much more interesting because double, right? So people want to get this right. So let's go to Palace stats. Top scoring players, I think no surprise is Mateta with 132 points and 50 goal involvement. Next one will be Sa and Eze, close one, right? 11 and 10 and 170 and 97 points. Of course, Eze maybe slight on the downward because he has more injury and he missed some of the matches. But Munoz is there in terms of point per start. I think he's an excellent pick. I missed some his double points. I think 13 points against Fulham, right? If I'm right. So I'm that and Munoz. When I have the chance to wildcard, I know I want Munoz. Despite some other players feel, some other media feels that they want to go three attacking players in the form of Sa, Eze, and Mateta. I think I can see the sense. Okay, but this could be the popular asset that people will go. Mateta, Sa, Munoz, Eze, and Henderson. And Mateta clearly the one that people should get. In terms of most attacking, in terms of stats of shots, Mateta 57, shot in the box the most, 45, 25, big chance. Oh, I see Mateta clearly the one that attacking player that you want. Other than that, Sa and Eze have 87 shots. Excellent, really excellent. Despite Sa have more big chances at 70, only 43 shots. But I think Eze, like you mentioned, he could be the right choice when he has so many roads to points. So despite he has 1 million more than Sa. From the stats, mate.
To be fair, with Eze's shots, if you remember at the start of the season where Mateta was not quite there yet, and Edward was still around, they were trying to figure out how to work the attack. So Eze was taking it upon himself to be the shot craze guy. Some Ela Semenyo lah. So I guess that also pushes up his that shot stats. But I think later in the season, at this point in time, he's toned down a bit on that and been smarter in terms of his play. I do like it, which is one of the reasons why I went for him. On hindsight, I hope I don't regret not going for Mateta. I'm glad because he's definitely very, very popular for this week because he's just a goal scorer. Yeah, and he will do things. And I don't have him. So I'm gonna be a bit worried for this weekend because of Mateta. Sa, I'm not so thinking about. I think between Sa and Eze, it's not much difference. Sa may very well do better than Eze as well because if he scores goals, he will do better. Yeah, so because Sa is more about scoring goals, whereas Eze is more all-rounder ability. I'm quite surprised to see in the top scoring players Henderson there. I didn't think he was, but yeah, it goes to show that the defense is also not that solid, but which forces him maybe more shots, being taken for his points to be up and lots of saves as well. But yeah, if you've tripled up, I would argue it should be any of these players for Palace, because who else would you? So there's really no one else here. But I did notice some people on Wildcard had Guehi, unfortunately.
Okay,
so that is bad. Yeah, and I'm one of the So that's I don't think there were. Yeah, I'm one of the ones with Henderson, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So other than that, these are, other than Guehi, everyone, all the triple players that you have should be from this list.
Okay, just quick one on creativity. Just to add on here, Entice Eze, corner and free kicks, 83. The rest doesn't take corners, I suppose.
Yeah.
And chances created, 51, the biggest. More reason that Eze could be the players that you mentioned in terms of points. Yeah. But in terms of big chances created, I'm surprised he's up there, 12.
Yeah. But because he creates better chances, probably because he's more forward. So he's a lot more forward. So the chances created is always big, because in terms of the number of chances created, Eze still wins by a far margin compared to any other. Yeah, Sa is more equal to everyone else. That's quite a monopoly. I didn't realize that Eze really monopolized all the dead balls. I didn't think there was that. I thought there was some form of sharing, but well, Munoz, who we have as well, so I guess we're not too unhappy there.
Okay, I think this I like. Question for Raka FPL. This more headache, I think. Sideways Sa to Eze. This is something that I'm thinking of, but I'm not too sure. Would you do that after looking at these numbers?
If you don't have any if you don't have any space in terms of moving for Villa or Arsenal, depending on the matches, I think it's viable. I think it's not a bad risk to take. Yeah. It feels, I know it always feels, sideways moves always feels a bit of a waste. But I think it's fair. Crystal Palace play against Manchester United and Newcastle, and I think to get through past these sides, you will need a bit more creativity. So yeah, I think I'm all for the idea.
Yeah. Palace playing City and Newcastle, you mean, right?
Sorry, Chris. City and Newcastle. So you have some creativity. I think it's a good move. I think you should definitely consider it if you have the transfers to do it.
Okay, let's conclude top 3 players Palace asset if you're thinking to have. I think after looking at this number, I can say that Mateta, Eze, and I think Munoz as a top 3 players. What do you think, Nick?
Mateta, Eze, Munoz. Yes, but I think it's Mateta, Eze, Sar actually.
Okay, all right.
Munoz is slightly behind because, I think Munoz is really because if you need space, then if you have the space in midfield, then I think Sar, double out of Sar as it could be better.
All right, great. Let's jump to another topic. Before we look at the fixture, our plan, just take a look in the Arsenal and Villa lineup that we play in the Champions League, maybe just to feel what kind of rotation can happen this weekend. Arsenal, no surprise there. We know that Saka going to start somewhere after that coming 7 minutes from the bench, 7 minutes from the time, and also half time against Everton, and he starts against Real Madrid. But I haven't saw the game, but Saka injured going out at the 74 minute for Trossard. So that's why the yellow flag, right? And then Rice, Tierney, Timber, deep play, and White is really at 90 minutes. So that is Timber, Saliba, Kibio, and Skelly. Lewis Skelly did start as back for, if I may say, Odegaard, Partey, Rice, Saka, Marino, Martinelli. So Trossard and White bench. So could they play this weekend against Brentford? I think so. But other than those players, I'm not too sure. For Arsenal first, mate.
The problem right now is that Liverpool have dangled a little carrot for Arsenal. Look, you can still catch us. so I don't know. I really don't know what going on in Mikel Arteta's mind yet. Well, of course, he still will want to finish strongly in the Premier League, but right now he does have one foot in that UCL semi-final, so you can't. I do think that he will prioritize this. He will still prioritize that UCL. Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is where does he skim on? And Saka going off on the 74-minute, we know that it was a knock. I think
Okay.
it wasn't a serious one apparently, so he
Okay.
should be
All right.
fine. But of course, because he is also just coming back from injury himself, so the question is whether he will start this match. And I've been ding donging this in the past few days in WhatsApp groups and things, and my current status, and it's might sound like bias on my side, but my current plan thinking is that he will start and get subbed off
Against Brentford. Okay.
Yeah. To be fair, when it comes to the gap is actually quite manageable. Arsenal played on Tuesday, then they play on Saturday, and then the next match is on a Wednesday. So there's definitely enough space. It's different from Villa, who play on Wednesday, and then the following week they play on Tuesday. So they have a much shorter period in between matches. So I do feel that Saka will start, and he will be taken off early.
Okay.
So you need to decide you need to decide whether it's worth the risk, because he will, if he starts, he definitely will be taken off early. Especially if they are winning. And the problem why I think that Arsenal, sorry,
continue.
Not because the other thing is that Brentford are not a pushover. They've got a very strong attacking side. Mbeumo and Wissa had it at the head. I do think that Arsenal don't want to just throw this match away. Yeah. So, but the question is everywhere else. What does he do? So, I can't figure out, because we saw surprises last weekend as well, in terms of the lineup with Timber getting benched. So I don't really know how Arteta is going to figure this out.
I think one thing that I just want to point out is I'm looking forward for those Brentford lineup, because then I can see whether the likes of Timber, Saliba, and Kivio will play, or Arteta will chop and change, means that maybe he play wide. Could it be Kivio drop for Timber and Saliba? Saliba drop, get rest. I just want to see what Arteta will do. And then if, let's say, Kivio stick in that team and play, maybe there is opportunity that I could go for Kivio. I go cheap for Arsenal defense if they say certain, and that could be a possibility, because Saliba now has risen to 6.5.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's no longer like 6 million plus. And if you say you want to change, drop Gabriel to Saliba, you need to find some fund. Even though maybe that fund should not be a problem, but still investing 6.5 for Saliba instead of Kivio at 4.8. So you can save that money to somewhere else. Or you can go for Timber 5.5, right? So still save money.
But the fun bit is Arsenal play the early match, so there is a possibility of getting some lead in, but then it's a risk. Yeah. I will be watching to see whether my Saka actually starts, but then I do feel that even if Saka doesn't start, I might keep him in. If I see Saka doesn't start, I might still keep him in the lineup. So let's see.
I also looking forward the likes of Moreno, Trossard, and Martinelli. If Moreno continue to start against Brentford, maybe Moreno is like someone who fixture proof, and he will play regardless, and he could be an opportunity to gain. And we can see that Moreno has a tendency to score goal, even at the Champions League, right? So he has that tendency now.
I just want to point out that I'm quite impressed that Arteta has managed to actually do it. I think most of us laughed at the idea, when he first started Moreno playing as a furthest forward and and condemning Arsenal for not getting a striker during the deadline day. But he's made it happen. So credit there.
Okay. Let's go to the Villa lineup, which is more tricky because in this match, Konsa did start, but I think Torres has been not starting for a while and he did start this game. So I think that's a surprise for me because it's a crucial match and I'm not sure about in terms of fitness. And then Damien did start. Rogers did start this game. Rashford also, but no Watkins, no Asensio because those players are coming in later. Asensio coming at 59 minutes, Watkins at 79 minutes. It looks like maybe could Rashford and Rogers will be benched this week and the likes of Watkins and Asensio start against Southampton. That could be a possibility, which will be a headache. If let's say someone who already have Rogers in the team. What do you think, man? Would you feel that Rogers going to start again against Southampton?
So this is the tough one. Played the full 90 minutes. This even though with PSG winning 3-1, but he stayed on for the whole match. Rogers is so important to the squad. We talked previously. I was saying that with Asensio and Rashford coming in, maybe he'll be more delegated to ball carrying duties, and that has been the case, but it hasn't been at the expense of his goal scoring abilities, and we haven't really seen a lot of all those players in the team together. Yeah, so now the problem is he gonna risk it? My personal opinion is yes. I think Rogers is that important to Villa that he will still start this week as well. So let's not forget Aston Villa also chasing the Champions League spots. So he needs to balance it out. This doesn't mean that he's given up on the Champions League though. It just means that he needs to balance his resources carefully. I believe he'll start. The other players, that's the problem because he played Rashford, so I saw a lot of predictions having Watkins starting. So, but if Watkins starts this week, does that mean that he won't start the second UCL game? Given that they lost the first game, surely Emery is. I know the second game is at Villa Park, but surely Emery must be looking to change the lineup, given that they didn't do so well. And you got McGinn. I was surprised to see McGinn there because in the CL, because I thought Onana would be much better in terms of the physicality and be able to handle PSG better. Digne, yeah. So Digne playing there means he probably will play the second leg as well. I don't think Martens is ready to play in the but it's hard to figure this out really. So fortunately, we do get to see whether. I wouldn't recommend buying any Arsenal Aston Villa players at this point. It's just too damn risky.
So someone, if let's say have Rashford and Rogers in the team, like yourself, you have Rashford, right? So would you gamble and put them on your first lineup this weekend?
I don't know. If I had Rogers, I would definitely play him because I feel Rogers is important enough.
All right.
So this Rashford thing, because I have Rashford and Digne and both who were benched. Yeah. So I do feel that I'm willing to risk Rashford, but not Digne. Digne, I feel like he's benched. I think they'll save him for the Champions League. I'm pretty confident they'll save him for the Champions League. I've screwed up in that sense by picking up Digne, but it is what it is. So Rashford, I'm ready to risk it because I think that it's possible that Rashford will play in place of Ramsey's spot and Watkins play up front.
Okay. Let's go to the game week 32 fixture. I know we already know that Newcastle and Palace will double this week. But this weekend, we will open with Man City versus Palace, the early kickoff at 7:30 p.m. Malaysian time. And we are hopeful we can get that Man City team league lineup.
Okay,
And
so I'm gonna correct. I got it wrong. For some reason I thought the Arsenal Brentford was the early match, but that's on
okay.
Sunday. Okay, misread. So apologies for that. You can delete that from or skip that part.
All right.
Sorry.
Man City Palace. And then at 10 p.m. we have Brighton versus Leicester, money ball game. So if thinking like punting players versus Leicester, this could be your opportunity. If you have João Pedro in your team, you might want to play him against Leicester. Forest versus Everton, looks like tough game on paper. Southampton versus Villa. I think this is another one you need to like predict which Villa players they're going to play against Southampton. And then midnight Saturday we have Arsenal versus Brentford. Also, we are not sure which Arsenal lineup will play, but people like me has Raya, and most probably he's the only safe player that you feel that going to play this week against Brentford. Then on Sunday we have Chelsea versus Ipswich. Also, what people looking at potentially points against Ipswich and the likes of Palmer and Blazing. You have Neto, man. Maybe you will play this game against Ipswich. Liverpool versus West Ham, another opportunity for Liverpool assets, especially on Salah. If you're thinking captaincy, maybe Wolves versus Spurs. It's a tough one to call because Spurs gonna uh, focus on the Europa League game. Same goes for Manchester United, and they face Newcastle on the last game for 11:30 p.m. For Sunday, and then Monday night match Bournemouth versus Fulham. Both Fulham really want to chase that European space, but it's against Bournemouth, and end up on the Wednesday night Newcastle versus Palace. What do you think in terms of fixture for this week, man?
Yeah, that Brighton Leicester. The thing with Pedro is he didn't start last week against Crystal Palace. I think we didn't expect that to happen. Of course, I'm relieved because because of wildcard, so I finally managed to get rid of him. But if I still had him, and then like, what's going on there? Frankly speaking, if you had space, I would probably punt on someone like Mitoma. Yeah, for that, I think there's better value, more security, I guess. The Chelsea Ipswich, I don't know. Ipswich won 2-0, I think, in the reverse fixture against Chelsea. So and Chelsea are all over the place at the moment. I don't know what's going on. But of course, let's see how the Conference League turns out before we can make any decisions. But of course, the problem with picking up Chelsea now is that they don't play any double games. Similar to Brighton as well. So it's really is a punt. You want whoever you pick to score
more. I think punting to Brighton players against Leicester has more chances of getting it right.
Yeah, because now Chelsea Jackson is back as well, and they still didn't manage to score. So maybe they just need time. So yeah, that's it. Wolves versus Spurs. Well, Wolves are in good form at the moment. I don't know if Cunha will immediately start back because I remember the last time he did this rubbish. In the first game he was back, he didn't start, but he was subbed in. So and Wolves have been doing well in Cunha's absence. The last few matches, they've got the results, but they playing Spurs, who will be fresh off the Europe, where they will be trying to. Angie will definitely want to win that one. So this if you have the right players for Wolves, but we don't know. You want to pick them up now? I don't know if that's a good idea because for me, it was part of the wild card, so I wouldn't want to squeeze the transfer on them. So yeah, that's it. Because we already talked about Newcastle, and Crystal Palace assets. That's nothing else there to talk about.
Right.
I do think Brentford will score though. So if you do have Wissa or Mbeumo, I think it's worth keeping against Arsenal. Sorry, Raya fans.
Oh man. So quickly on the captaincy, but I know people will go to one person this week. The prediction for game week 32 from Fantasy Football Hub members area is Isak to score big this weekend. Predicted to score 13.6. from those two matches. So he's up there. Next is Mateta, like you mentioned, potentially if I said not fit, Mateta could come in as a triple captaincy option, predicted at 10.2. Dominating by Palace and Isak in the top five, in Newcastle in top five. Mateta Sa at third, Barnes at fourth, and Jacob Murphy at fifth. Pretty much tight. No Salah, no Palmer, no other players. What do you think, mate? Should we focus on the double game week players, or is there any opportunity to go for a single game week player?
Yeah, the problem with this list, you've got players like Barnes there. Why is you even being considered? So this is the problem when in a double game, the skew is just quite heavy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel that the best captain pick is Mateta for this round. I'm one of the few who don't have him, so I'll have to go for Isak. It's just that I don't think Isak will score that much compared to Mateta. Yeah, but if you from this pick of 5, yeah, definitely it is really just between the two of them. Yeah. Yes, Rakan FPL. If you had to choose between the two, I actually would go for Mateta.
Okay. All right, let's go to our team, man. I think I go to my team first. Yup, my team first. 1.6 million in the bank, 3 free transfer. That's really the plan. And at this juncture, triple captain Isak. And my team has 3 Newcastle and Palace asset. In goal, Raya. I won't play Areola away to Liverpool. Munoz, Burn, both play double. Guardiol over Konza, probably, because Konza might not start. It has been shown from the last weekend game. So I think Guardiol against Palace, despite maybe Palace will still score. Sa, Jacob Murphy. I have Semenyo over Foden, but we can debate on that. Salah, Mamush, Mateta, and I think pretty much those are the combo striker lineup that people will have, and triple captaincy. I think the one thing that can be discussed is whether to play Foden or Semenyo. But Foden has been frustrating. Semenyo, I take a quick look from last week stats. He's the most player with most shot with 5. So, but Semenyo is like that. Stats can be deceiving and he might not produce. But he had produced that assist, so-called assist, because his shot come back from that post or crossbar and Evan Nilsson scored that goal. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, that hitting the post and then Evan Nilsson coming in is just. But and then you had to be checked for offside so long.
Oh,
yeah, Evan Nilsson. But anyway, yeah, but the thing with Fulham is that they're also chasing Champions League spot, so that means they're gonna leave space open, and teams like Bournemouth will, their attacking is quite strong. So you have to decide, and I do believe that you put Foden on the bench is the correct move. Question: Are you planning just now? I missed just now, but you planning to save your transfers again, or you gonna use?
I think so. The plan is to roll transfer, but I'm still open to the suggestion. If they say I feel AZ could be a better choice over Sa, and I will invest for the next 4 games because Palace will double, right? So I will not rule that out yet, but in my mind, I think I am going to roll my transfer.
Yeah, because there's 2 sideways that you will burn to Livramento or out to Eze. But other than that, yeah, I think your team is. I don't see why you should be changing anything.
I think if let's say I can have like news that Foden starts, maybe I'll change my mind because Palace missing some players, especially guy at the back, and who knows, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's really big maybe.
So if you don't get news, then Semenyo starts. If you do get news, Foden starts. Is that how it's going to be?
I think so.
Oh, good luck. I'm just jealous that you have 3 free transfers.
Okay. All right. Fair. I think I hope I can roll. And then 33 will be a big one when you will definitely want to make some changes. Your team getting those Villa assets and maybe Arsenal. All right. To your team, in. No money in the bank, right? And you have one free transfer only.
I didn't realize I had exactly 0 when I made my when I finished my wildcard. I seriously did not notice. I was like, okay, I click, okay, can I fight Rashford? Oh yeah, I can fight Rashford, blah blah, and then hit the confirm, and that was it. And then okay, I'm almost set. And then after I confirmed, I looked back before the deadline, of course. But
Okay.
I was like, hey, wow, I really have 0.0. Anyway, yeah, because Rashford was my last decision, trying to decide between Rodgers over Rashford, and I went for Rashford. So short term it was wrong, long term we'll see. So you got Pope. I took a while for this one, but I decided I'd probably go for Pope.
Yeah.
And it's mainly for that Manchester United match because they've improved defensively, but not offensively. So I think the chance for Newcastle clean sheet is there. I do think they'll concede against Crystal Palace, but it's better over Henderson against City, who I think they will concede, especially with so many players out. And then Newcastle, who are chasing the Champions League spot. So yeah, so I feel that's easy enough decision. Guardiol, Munoz, Livramento fill in the spot. So yeah, Digne, I'm probably move him to the third sub. Yeah, I don't want him coming in as a sub, and even though it's Southampton, but I do think he will still start over Martins in the Champions League, and which means he'll be benched for the Premier League. So in the midfield side, so this is the midfield attack is a bit of a challenge trying to figure this out. So Saka, Salah, Eze, Rashford, Johnson, Marmoush, and Isak. So I need to decide whether I want to risk Cunha. So if I do decide to risk Cunha, I do feel that's a good matchup, by the way. Wolves versus Spurs. I think Spurs defense is still not quite there. So if I do risk that, then most likely Cunha will start and Rashford will be the one who gets benched, even against Southampton. Yeah, this is purely because of the Champions League problems that we've seen. But it'll be a bit disappointing if I don't start Cunha because I chose Cunha over Mateta. So now I don't get Mateta, and there's no way I can get Mateta without making 2 transfers. So I just feel that I need to justify myself with Cunha and start it, but I can't think that way. I have to see. At the end of the day, I still have to decide who 2 points, then not play Cunha just because I don't have Mateta.
Maybe journalist will ask Pereira during that presser tomorrow and see whether Pereira can give him that Cunha will definitely start. If let's say he mentioned that, then you can comfortably feel him.
Yes, because the thing with Wolves, they got the results, but it was most of them were quite late. So we need something early, and Cunha is the one who can provide that. Did I say we? Okay, never mind.
All right. Just a quick one from Afosz team. He did share with me 2.8 million in the bank. He also only have 1 free transfer, and he most probably will triple captain Isak this week. He did share with me. This is his team. Right in goal, Saliba, Munoz, and Burn. Mo Salah, Saka, Murphy. I think Saka is the one that he mentioned. He might not play and will play either Savinho or Gvardiol, depending on team news. Marmoush, Isak, and Mateta will always be the front lineup for Afosz this week. I think that's what he mentioned that he will do. I think he will start Savinho or Gvardiol over Saka.
Yeah, I think it's all set. So Savinho over Saka, I guess, unless he gets team news saying that Savinho's not starting, then I think it definitely. I guess his challenge now is that Guardiol, but I suppose if he has Mateta there and Sa there, and having Guardiol there does not quite make much sense, I guess. Yeah.
Fair. But who knows that he got lucky like Saliba not start. not start for that match, and
Not
Gabriel
play.
in the end coming, right?
Yeah.
Not play, yeah.
The thing is, Guardiola, he hasn't scored a goal for quite a while, isn't it?
Mm.
So don't know if he still
Because
has
he has
that.
been playing partner with Diaz at the back. He's not running on the left side like overlapping, because
Exactly.
Aurelio is doing
Okay,
that.
just checking. The last time he scored a goal was against Chelsea back in game week 23. So that was 8 game
Wow.
weeks ago.
That match. Okay. All right. Fair.
Yeah.
All right. We almost 1.5, 30 minutes. Streaming. Let's take some questions from Rakan MPL. Let's wrap
Okay.
this up. Saka play or bench? We did really discuss in terms of Saka potentially he will not start, and then maybe we will bench him. Right, me.
I would play him actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Try your luck. Okay. Yeah, Mateta as captain option this week. If you are not comfortable with Isak, I think that could be an opportunity, right? As been mentioned.
Yeah, there's really very little margin between the two.
Yeah. How about this? I already have 10 players for game week 34. Wow. He really looking forward. Has until 34 free hit 33 thought. Means that he wants to try to avoid free hitting in 33, is it? Because he
So
has
yeah,
played.
because the majority now is free hitting in 34. So he feels that because he already has the
Okay,
players
okay.
in 34, he wants to free in 33. It's not a bad thing, when I think about it. The problem with depending on your squad, because you some that the it might really be, you may not have had enough Arsenal. You don't have any Arsenal or very little Arsenal or Villa players because you want to see what happens in the Champions League. Yeah, and as a result, that means if you already have 10 players for 34, so that means you have very little Arsenal, Aston Villa, Palace, and Newcastle players. So
Man City, right?
so you might want to bring that in for free at 33 when the Champions League has already been decided who wins, and you'll be more confident about picking those players, the players who will start. So yeah, I think it's not a bad idea if you've checked and already have 10 players for 34.
Yeah, I think that could be an option. Double Gameweek 33 is a trap. Short recovery time between game for a team that double 33. Thoughts? Maybe, but there's opportunity to play.
But
What
to
do
be
you
fair,
think?
that's always the case. Mostly tends to be the case with double game weeks. Yeah, the time is short. So let's see. Okay, let me take a look. Arsenal Palace. They play on Wednesday night, and they play on where is Palace? On Saturday. So Palace plays on Saturday. Arsenal plays on Sunday.
Oh,
So
okay.
Arsenal in a slightly disadvantage, but it's not. But it's Wednesday night. I feel it's not that big a deal. City versus Aston Villa. City and Villa both play on Saturday, followed by Wednesday. So I think that's not
Ample time
unusual.
recovery, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's acceptable. So I don't think it's that recovery issue is a problem. Rotation, that one
That one
rotation
different.
risk. You have to figure it out. It depends on what the status of each teams are by that time.
Neither BB 32 or 33 will get 15 doublers. I think I agree on that. You won't be able to fill all 15, but still, if let's say you have how many 9, 10 players, still good enough. What do you think, man?
Um, yeah, definitely not 15 doublers. You can only pick three players from each squad, and there's only four teams doubling. So 4 times 3 is 12. So no way you can get. Okay, I'm not sure. I think my maths is correct. But if you have four, so for 32 we have two teams playing, and 33 we have four teams playing double. So yeah, so that's not an issue for me.
Digny play or bench? Azmin, they mentioned he will bench Digny because potentially Maxson will play. I think I agree on that.
I will bench him. Yeah, I have him, so I'm gonna bench him.
And last question, Palmer, keep or sell? I think I will play him this week. And then 33, you can shift them out for the likes of Saka or other Villa assets.
Yeah, if you've hung on to him this week, assuming I would assume you already have your Newcastle and Crystal Palace triple up. So yeah, just keep him and move from there.
Right, we come to a conclusion for this stream, man. Has been great talking about Game Week 32, but next week will be a different ball game because there's more context in terms of how we approach Game Week 33. So your last word, man.
Yeah. We still have a couple 3 Europe games to play. So to settle tonight. I guess we didn't really talk about Liverpool. It's almost, it feels like, are they on the beach even though they haven't actually won the league yet? But I guess the question is, those of you who have Salah against West Ham, you should still keep him. Then we'll have to see. If West Ham suddenly West Ham suddenly manage to win against Liverpool, that would be really, really interesting. But I don't think it'll happen. But Liverpool do need to get their act together. That Fulham loss is a bit meh. So yeah.
Most probably people will keep because Liverpool play West Ham this week and next week again Leicester. So
Yeah.
it will be dangerous if you're not having Salah, despite he's blank the last 2 or 3 games, right? So he's still top scorer for this season, and the season still have 7 matches to go.
Yep. So I think the dream of 400 plus points for FPL is over lah. But
okay, right. We shall see. All right, thank you guys for joining the stream, and I wish you all the best for this week in whatever decision you make. Trust your guts, be confident with your decision. Get all those Palace and Newcastle assets ready in your team, and hope for the best. Thank you guys, and hope to see you again. Bye bye.